Okay, so as I just mentioned, we just got a massively important ruling out from a judge in the Central District of California. I have not read this during the break. Our producers have been reading through it. They're very smart. They read quickly. I'm about to talk to some very smart people who also can tell us what it means. But basically, the backstory here is that last week, a group of immigrant rights groups sued the Trump administration on the premise that the way Trump was carrying out his immigration agenda was illegal. And tonight, the federal judge in that case has agreed with them, issuing a temporary restraining order that blocks the Trump administration from doing a variety of things in Southern and Central California. Now, this is a quote from the ruling. The stop arrest plaintiff's ex parte application for TRO, temporary restraining order, is granted. Specifically, the order bars the Trump administration from stopping people to arrest them on the basis of race or ethnicity, speaking Spanish, presence at a particular location, or the type of work one does. I guess somebody should get a copy of this to Tom Homan. I'm sure they are at this point in time. We'll see. But joining me now are Congressman Jimmy Gomez and Eric Swalwell, both Democrats from California, who are also fast readers, but probably have not consumed all of it yet. But let me start with you, Congressman Gomez, because you are right in the middle, and we've talked many times about this, of the communities that are being so deeply impacted by these ICE raids. I know you're still processing the ruling, but it seems these temporary restraining orders have been effectively granted, which is a huge piece of news. Let me start by just asking how this ruling, to your knowledge at this point, could change what's happening on the ground. How do you understand it?
Well, one of the things I hope is that it does stop people, ICE, from targeting folks based on their color of their skin or what they're doing. I've said from the very beginning that that's what ICE and Donald Trump's White House has been engaged in. They are going after people at car washes, at day laborer sites, at restaurants. And here's the thing. I tell people, you never see anybody who is of European descent pulled over. It's always somebody of Latino descent. And we know that there's 500,000 people who are undocumented of European descent in this country, but they're not targeted. It's only people that look like me or the people that live in my communities.
We're continuing to learn about this. I think everybody watching probably hopes that's exactly what it does, and that's typically what a restraining order does do, but we're diving through it too. Let me ask you, Congressman Swalwell, I know you're just digesting this too, but it seems to apply to the Central District of California. That was what the lawsuit was about. There are a range of lawsuits happening around the country, including the Attorney General of California, and 17 other states are part of one too. But do you expect other states or parts of the country to follow suit with their own class action cases like this? Because in some ways, when courts rule, they can be models for others. But what do you anticipate?
They have to. You have to keep this administration on its heels. That's the only way to stop them. And Jen, I know you are a longtime comms wizard. I don't know if you went to law school or not, but your legal reasoning in the wind-up to this is exactly right. In the order, the court says that they have to stop these detentive stops where they're not following the Fourth Amendment. They actually cite the Fourth Amendment. So that's what they're doing. And by the way, let's just take a step back as to who they're detaining. ICE has arrested a 6-year-old with cancer and a 71-year-old woman named Barbara Stone. What is the one thing they have in common? They're both American citizens. These guys need to pump the brakes, only go after violent criminals, and stop terrorizing our neighborhoods.
It does not seem that that is Stephen Miller or Tom Homan's intention. But there is one piece of, this is the piece of very good news. The other piece of good news, and I just talked about this a little bit a few minutes earlier, is that Trump is basically underwater on every issue, but the numbers on immigration really stand out. And this is important because this is where the public is responding. Independents, including Republicans. It's not all Democrats. I think I gave my takes kind of on why I think that is, because it feels human now. People are seeing these stories in their streets. They're seeing their neighbors. It's impacting them in a real way. But Congressman Gomez, let me start with you. Why do you think those numbers have dropped so dramatically over the past couple of months?
I think it's because Donald Trump made a promise to go after dangerous criminals, and then he broke that promise. He made that promise not only to his base, but to people who I think are good Americans that care about their communities, that care about their neighbors. But now you see that ICE is going after people that are at construction sites, that are working at at restaurants, people that they know, people that are their neighbors, and what that means. People that supported them are getting deported. So I think that's why it's starting to seep in. That's why you see Joe Rogan having this backlash against it, as well as a lot of the MAGA base, because this is not what they say they voted for.
No kidding. I think there's more where this came from. Let me ask you, I mentioned at the top of the show, it's a bit of a whirl of news. This always happens on a Friday, as you both know. And there was this story that came out just about an hour and 2 hours ago about FEMA not answering thousands of calls from flood survivors. And Congressman Swalwell, I just want to pose this to you because you're on the Homeland Security Committee. I'm sure you both have thoughts on this. This is, I mean, they didn't answer thousands of calls from survivors of the Texas floods. This piece also says that the agency laid off hundreds of call center workers on July 5th. They basically didn't renew the contracts, which meant they were so short-staffed. They didn't answer calls. It took days for Secretary Noem to approve a renewal because of a new policy you've put in place. It feels, I mean, I know you've called for her to resign, dating back to her run-in with Senator Padilla. But this feels, I mean, what can be done to hold her accountable?
Well, the Trump administration has failed the American people. Our basic duty, as my colleague Jimmy knows, is to protect people and help them in a crisis. And by breaking down FEMA, they're unable to do that. And the American people are starting to see that they're not up for the job, that they're just up for the likes, and they're up for the owning the libs and the trolling, but they're not up for helping people. But I have hope that we have a midterm wave that's coming. And just one example, Jen, I spent the 4th of July in southern Indiana with my wife's family. This is a county where Donald Trump won by 65%. And as I took my kids around the neighborhood that my in-laws live in, I saw about a dozen signs that said, "We stand with our immigrant neighbors." It was moving, and it shows exactly what Jimmy just said. People were promised violent criminals would be deported, not our friends and neighbors and the people who contribute to our economy, our culture, who go to church with us, who are part of this American fabric.
Then that is exactly what's happening. Is it is not what they voted for. I want to thank you so much. Thank you for being with me on a Friday night with lots of news. I really appreciate it. Have a great weekend to both of you.
Thank you.
And coming up next, the road to Democrats taking back control of the Senate might just run through Maine. We'll see. Democrats have been wanting this seat forever. One Democrat and former congressional staffer is running to challenge a likely re-election bid by the state's longtime Republican Senator Susan Collins, and he joins me right after a quick break.